Hi everyone, greetings from Midship Cinema. This is Peter Knego. This latest video is dedicated to the Carnival Ecstasy, which made her final voyage last October and is now sitting in a Turkish scrapyard, gradually disappearing. I hope you enjoy this tribute to a wonderful and eclectic ship. Cheers. The Carnival Ecstasy's 5-day grand finale began on October 10th, 2022 in Mobile. Although due at the scrapyard in less than a month, her staff were busy scrubbing and painting her hull. I was just one of 1,800 guests and 1,000 crew, each with their own unique connection, who had come to bid her farewell.
So my name is Doug Parker. I am the host of Cruise Radio and Cruise News Today.
What brings us on the cruise, we've had great memories on the ship, going back when she first was launched in her inaugural season, 1991. I proposed to my wife, Leslie, on the cruise, and in hearing that she was going to be taken out of service, I wanted to, and it's our 30th anniversary, I want to come back and see the ship.
Hi there, Peter. So my name is Joe Polidora. I am from New York. I took 2 flights to get down to Alabama to get on this.
Hello everyone, my name is John Heald. I'm the brand ambassador for Carnival Cruise Line. I've been with the company now 35 years.
So I came across this video of this big white ship just getting run up on a beach, and I said, that's shocking. So I looked it up and I saw it was called the Fantasy, and it was from 1990, and I was like, well, I wonder what the inside of that looks like. So I looked it up and I thought, oh, that's really cool looking. And then I saw it was of this class of 8 ships that were all the same, and they all had these wild insides. So I said, okay, what does the next one look like? And that one's called the Ecstasy. And I said, oh, that's a really cool looking inside. It looks like a Sonic the Hedgehog level.
The Carnival Ecstasy, well, I stayed in 3 different periods, let's say, of my life with Carnival. The first time was 2008, if I'm not wrong, and I was on board as a second officer.
My name is Jeffrey Lara.
My name is Brent Riegert. I have been fascinated with ships since I was about 12 years old.
This is my 6th time sailing in Ecstasy. She took me on my very first solo cruise, the first cruise I ever paid for in 2001, and I've sailed her from every home port except for Charleston.
I was on one of the inaugural cruises of the Ecstasy with my mom. She took me on it as a surprise. And so I thought, it would be great to sail on her once again as, on her final voyage.
I'm Orazio Daida. I come from Italy, and I have been with the Cano already 32 years. I started as a third engineer on the celebration.
I'm Thomas Nikolai Vargas. I'm an ocean liner enthusiast, and I love to go on cruises. This is my 28th Carnival cruise.
Good morning, Peter. Good morning, everyone. So my name is Mladen Spasov. I come all the way from Macedonia. I'm the hotel director on board Carnival Ecstasy. I'm very proud to be here to bring her to her resting place, in Turkey, and happy to be also part of this last voyage of this ship that brings and gives a lot of memories to our guests.
This class of ship goes to my very first cruise in the early 90s. And so my dad said, hey, we're going on a 3-night cruise on Carnival Fantasy out of Port Canaveral. And I remember walking on board Carnival Fantasy. So it was the first in this class of ships. And I was just blown away. I walked over the gangway and onto the ship, onto the deck right there. And it just seemed like being that age, it just went up forever. Like a skyscraper almost. And I can't, years later, 25 years later, I still can't recreate that feeling. It was just energy and excitement and fascination, and it was just like sensory overload for me.
When it comes to the architecture of the ship, it is very sleek. I mean, it's not like the older ships, but by today's standards, it is an older ship, and it is much more sleeker. It's much more sleek than some of the ones that look very boxy. And I think that those are some of the features that I like about it.
I really like the funnels on the Fantasy class ship because they're beautiful and sculptural. They're not these, you know, it seems like the ships get bigger, the funnels get more truncated, and I just, you know, it's always just a great vacation.
What will you miss about this ship? The size. You know, being a cruise director on board this ship, even today as brand ambassador, I've met pretty much everybody by now. And, you know, as the ships got bigger, that became more and more difficult to do.
Well, these ships are especially for the guests, you know. I think they are easy to navigate. They are not too big, not too small. We don't have a huge number of crew members like we have on the big ship, so there is a more familiar environment.
What I love about the Fantasy class really are, there's so many things. The size.
The one thing about this ship that's really nice is it's walkable. It's you can go from one place to the other, and it is a walkable ship.
The intimacy of the ships, you know, being on board for a few days, you get to see everybody.
The ship is very, very small compared to the others. The team is like a family. All go together, we work in the right way.
Carnival has gone just so over the top with this class of ships and how they designed them, and Joe Farcus's designs were just, you know, off the charts wild, and you think about the corporate risk they took in sort of designing a ship like this, and people would just say, could have just said, oh my god, this is just gaudy over the top, but it's really become kind of a legacy compared to the new ships, which are beautiful, but they're beautiful just like any other 5-star hotel now, right? There's nothing really unique in the designs anymore.
Beautiful ship, Joe Farcus possibly having smoked his own underwear for part of the architecture.
Here, I love the fun Farcus decor. It's like a theme decor that kind of takes you out of your everyday life. So, and also I love the quality materials they use, like the marble and the beautiful paintings, and some of it's a little over the top, but it's always fun.
I did 3 contracts on here, and my memories are just of walking into the atrium and seeing, you know, the neon, and being the cruise director on then the flagship. So very proud memories.
The moment I walk through the gangway and walk into that signature Joe Farcus atrium, that's what got me hooked on cruising and the Fantasy class ships.
The excitement of walking on board into that giant atrium with the huge glass dome.
The atrium's probably my favorite space. I mean, it's just that all the lights and all the little buildings glowing and lighting up, and then when it's nighttime and you've had a couple to drink and there's all this like neon everywhere, and then you think that you're gonna go into a hallway and that's actually just a reflective wall. Okay. I love the atrium probably the most.
The atriums always fascinate me with the outlines of the neon lights, and the elevators too. Like, especially when you get them in tandem, going up and down together, and you get that on video or a photo of it. It just looks so cool. No matter what deck you're on, you could be on 7, 8, 9, or whatever they are. It always looks really cool. And the piano bar on this one too. The steamer bar, I think it's called, or the neon bar, just full of all these neon lights, and just, it's really cool. It's almost like a retro feel. How I kind of imagine what New York City might have been like in the 80s maybe, or 90s with all the neon and stuff, or even Vegas to this day, like New York and Vegas. Looks just like the steamer bar.
I like the piano bar. I like the piano bar. Piano bar, I don't know, gave me some very nice memories. It looked like that is something from a certain era, you know, that you don't gonna find anymore now on the new ship. There are all these beautiful lights, colorful light, and it's something that maybe the part of the ship I like it the most.
Well, I'm gonna start with the neon bar. That room is spectacular. I've never seen anything like it before. And the promenade deck. I love the promenade deck. The Blue Sapphire Lounge, really, that was a room that I was just in it before, just taking pictures of it. And the details in that room, the ceiling, all the sort of neo-Art Deco styling with those lines on everything, it just had so much thought put into it.
I like the Sapphire Lounge, the show lounge. It's got real marble and it's got like almost a Deco-esque interior.
And this room too. I mean, this carpet is unbelievable. I mean, this is another thing. It's very sort of 30s Art Deco with these lines in the couch like this, and then this is almost sort of Art Nouveau looking with these lines in here. It's like all these different styles and eras all blended together in such a vivacious kind of way, and it's just, there's nothing like it out there now at all.
My favorite pieces of art have always been the stair tower art, and some have been missing now, which are fantastic because they saved them.
I love the stairwells with the original artwork on each landing.
When this ship goes to Aliaga, I think I would probably most want to save, a piece of stair tower art if I could.
Oh yeah, what was really funny about the Chinatown Lounge, there's that truck in there, that old box truck. And when I went up to it, I said, oh my God, it's only half a truck. The other side's a mirror. I had no idea. It completely got me. That's probably my favorite thing about the Chinatown Lounge, is that I thought it was a full-size truck and it wasn't.
And the Chinatown is just a riot. It's just a riot. And I've got to go in there and hang out later, maybe before the cruise is over.
Oh, my favorite lounges. Chinatown, because it's so eccentric and there's so many little fine details of everything.
I love the Chinatown bar. I think that's really cool, and that's stuck with this ship for a long time. I also like the whole concept of the city lights on board, and the neon and the changing colors that went into the city lights, cityscape on it. I'd love to see the City Lights bar neon still working, right? It's not, but I remember that as a kid when I was on board the ship, just being so cool, and the fact that they could take this neon and change the color of the ship, right? Something we take for granted today because we can do with LED all day long.
And I love the teak decks, and I like that on this class of the ship that there are teak decks underneath lifeboats. So there are parts of the ship you could be on, say like you could be on an old ocean liner, and that's very fun for me. So maybe one of the British colonial ships or the Queen Mary. So if you squint your eyes a little bit, you could go back in time.
I cannot believe I forgot about the teak decks, because that's absolutely one of the best parts of this class of ship, hands down. And even in March, when I sailed her for her first cruise, they were a little worse for wear, but now on this last ship, this last cruise, 7 months later, they look immaculate.
The ship looks great. It looks really good.
It's in great condition.
The paint to this, you really don't see rust.
Yeah.
The teak on the decks is still very, very good.
It's very clean. I was surprised at how beautiful the ship is and how well maintained it. After 30 years, we all kind of get a few wrinkles, and it looks just phenomenal. So much that we're walking around and we're saying, why are they scrapping this? This is beautiful, so it's kind of sad to see it go.
Are there any particular memories of ecstasy that stand out for you? Lifeboat number 7. I always remember standing in front of that and doing my lifeboat training with the captain, with the staff captain, and I'll never forget this. And he said, "John, you are a cruise director, but remember, before you are anything else, you are a seaman." The memories are different for me on every ship, but the common denominator is the crew that worked in 1987 with me when I first started, to the crew here in 2022. Different people, mostly. 60, 70 different nationalities back then, even more probably today. And there is just something outside of the training we give them, outside of the company morals that we install on them. There is something that makes the crew and the guests connect more on our ships, I believe, than any other cruise company in the world.
It's a very nice, beautiful ship. Even she's 31 years old. She served well, and she have a lot of activities to bring to our guests that everybody was looking forward, but I hope that everybody will bring that sad into a memory, and that we're gonna move on, and we're gonna be happy to what is coming and what we are presenting to our guests as our new ships coming up, as the Carnival Celebration, the Carnival Luminosa, as well the newest from Costa, Firenze and Venezia, and as well Jubilee, that is gonna be kind of my favorite and my dream to work on as well.
All right, it's time for the cruise to begin. The staff on this and every Carnival ship sure know how to make you feel welcome. Once in the atrium, I took one of the panoramic lifts to join my friend Tom for lunch in the Lido.
Fantastic. Unbelievable.
And by the way, Carnival has an excellent salad bar. While the cabins were being made up, I began my documenting with the recently revamped Starlight Lounge on aft promenade deck. In the 20 years since my last visit to the Ecstasy, many of her rooms had been updated, including the nearby Alchemy Bar, which was originally the Joe Farcus designed Society Bar. At least its brass railings were intact, so I followed them down to the Windsong dining room. The aft-situated Windsong still featured its original metal medallions with abstract renderings of the Windstar Cruises ship it was named for. When the Ecstasy was introduced in 1991, Carnival still owned Windstar. The entrance to the more forward Windstar dining room still had a beautiful model of its namesake ship. This room was more modified than the Windsong and lost most of its original fittings.
Facing forward.
Back on promenade deck, I continued forward with the Stripes nightclub, another recently altered space that at least retained some of its bold neon lighting, which was what the Ecstasy was once known for. As the ship grew more crowded, I wrapped up the documenting on prom deck with the Crystal Palace Casino, then headed down to my cabin, U-29, a standard ocean view with a picture window on starboard upper deck. After dropping off my backpack, I headed back to prom deck to revel in one of my favorite spaces, the Chinatown Lounge, which still boasted its magnificently outrageous Joe Farcus decor. The custom details in this room were spectacular, including the huge dragon in the ceiling. And yes, I actually laid on my back in the middle of the yin-yang dance floor to get this shot. Sadly, this iconic fixture sailed with the ship to Turkey, where it most likely was destroyed. From there, it was up to sports deck for a view of the main pool area. Steps away, there was the mossy arch builder's plate, and down on the bow, the bell. Both would soon be removed and sent to Carnival's headquarters. Among the many great things about the Fantasy-class ships are the teak-lined forward observation platforms. And now, a welcoming word from John Heald.
So, we are here to celebrate, not to be sad, but to celebrate the life of this ship carrying 5.5 million guests, and the last guest she will carry are you. And I want you to be proud of that. This is John, brand ambassador, welcoming each and every single one of you on board. And can I say also a massive, huge, Leviathan-sized thank you to every single crew member who can hear this. Because for the crew, this is a very emotional moment. If this ship has been their home for so many years, and each and every crew member represents all the crew members who have gone before them. So thank you, crew. And on behalf of the captain, the cruise director, hotel director, chief engineer, and every single crew member, this will be the best cruise you've ever had, I promise. Cheers.
And just like that, we were off. Carnival Ecstasy couldn't have asked for a better day to begin her send-off. We passed some interesting military and cargo ships as we made our way into the Gulf. With the following wind, the foredecks were a perfect vantage for much of the afternoon. As the sun began to set, the pilot finally left the Carnival Ecstasy to her own devices. Carnival's Indian vegetarian dinner selection is authentic and absolutely delicious. As a brilliant moon hovered outside, our first dinner in the Windstar was festive and fun, with fellow guests grooving with the waitstaff. On our way to the show, we stopped by the shop where everything, including the ship models, was on sale.
I'm just kidding. Good evening, everybody. Welcome.
Well, my battery ran out shortly after cruise director Alex greeted the standing room only crowd.
Real quick, can I get a big hey, Alex? Oh, I think that was the biggest one yet.
I began our first sea day on prom deck with a visit to the Rolls-Royce Cafe for my morning cappuccino. The 1934 saloon car this place was named for is now aboard Carnival's Celebration, steps away from that ship's Java Blue Cafe. As I sipped away, I took a moment to marvel at the Fritz Lang-style fiber-optic Joe Farcus building fixtures that line the promenade, and then I joined my friends in the Windstar for the Sea Day brunch.
Never been on that one yet. I've been on the Two Sisters. I've been on Magic and Green.
Same. Beautiful. Thank you so much.
I don't know what I got something for. I think I got.
And after that delicious brunch, we headed to the Blue Sapphire for the introduction of the ship's officers.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, the people behind me have been the life and soul of this ship for many weeks and many months. And some of them are taking her on a final journey to Turkey. And for the next 4 days, they're going to do everything they possibly can to continue the fun and make sure that you have the very best of times. I'm going to ask this lady and gentleman to stand, if you would be so kind. And as they do, I hope you will recognize them in the usual way and say thank you to your team here on board the Carnival Ecstasy. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
That afternoon, I enjoyed and documented the outer deck areas as Carnival Ecstasy plied her southbound course for Cozumel. That evening began in the Grand Atrium as Alex riled up the crowd from his bar top roost. From there, we were off to dinner and a night on the floating town that was Carnival Ecstasy.
Thank you. Yeah, time for food.
I was up far too early the next morning as Carnival Ecstasy entered Cozumel roads. I joined my friend Jeff on forward veranda deck as he checked his GPS app for incoming ships. Including the Ecstasy, Cozumel would be hosting no less than 5 large cruise ships that day. This once sleepy Mexican resort island had now become a victim of its own success. Royal Caribbean's Dowager Grandeur of the Seas was already birthed as the Ecstasy began securing her lines. I then worked my way aft to watch the Celebrity Infinity follow us in. As soon as we were cleared by the port authorities, I raced ashore for some shots of the Carnival Ecstasy before one of her larger fleet mates would fill in the backdrop. In the morning light, her original Ecstasy bead welding could be seen under the Carnival prefix that was added in 2008. I then had the honor and pleasure of interviewing Captain Michele Coppola in his office where some special items had been gathered for the final Sea Day auction.
For 30 years, over 30 years.
Oh
and
my
as well,
gosh.
this flag has been on my desk for the
wow.
desk for the last 30 years, I guess.
Great.
This one,
I love it, yes.
this is yours.
Oh, no,
Yes, that's a little present for you.
Oh, a little present.
Yes.
Oh my God. Oh, Captain. That is fantastic, Captain. Thank you so very, very much. Oh, my
Our
gosh.
place, as I mentioned, our place to be on board. And we're not sure yet exactly, but if we're gonna go on the same place where Sensation is, but I think they did not finish to, let's say, to recycle the Sensation yet. So most probably when we're gonna get there, Sensation should still be there, because once we reach there with Sensation, there was the Imagination that was still in this wreckyard in Aliaga, and she was still I mean, she was not touched yet. They did not even start to recycle the ship. I was looking at all the beautiful video you made in the past, and there are some ship that I was there back in the time, and they are very beautiful. I compliment you. They are very, really great video.
Oh, thank
It
you.
was a pleasure for me to meet you.
Oh, that is an honor. Thank you. Oh, the open legs.
I've been in the past, but I think since they started, they always said...
This extraordinary and kind man next let me document the still very impressive wheelhouse with its spotless equipment and those fanciful glass deck panels on the wings, which were probably the inspiration for Princess Cruises' vertiginous sea walks. My visit to the bridge wrapped up just as the Carnival Conquest arrived. I would dedicate the rest of the morning to documenting some of my favorite spaces. In the Neon Bar, I met Joe Polidora, who was transfixed by the room's pulsating Farcusian details. For 31 years, this was one of the most vibrant spaces ever put to sea. And right next door, I documented the Explorers Club Library, another space with astounding and still original Farcusian detail. From the custom Art Nouveau-inspired carpeting and the zodiac signs in the ceiling, to Corinthian columns made of carved mahogany and glass cabinets framed in thick brass, it was an epic space. There was even a strange hybrid model of the 1938 New Amsterdam and a giant custom-created globe in its midst. What more could you ask for in a room dedicated to world exploration? At the entrance to the Blue Sapphire Lounge, there was a sculpture gifted by the Maza shipyard, and the doors boasted Deco building-inspired brass handles. This 1,300-seat showroom had somewhat challenged sightlines due to all the pillars, but its decorative detailing was impressive. The Art Nouveau-inspired space featured elements of alabaster, black, red, and pink marble, and onyx. Even the massive curtains boasted striking, glittery patterns. Up on deck, we watched as some of the Ecstasy supplies were being transferred over to the Carnival Conquest. On our way to lunch ashore, we captured the Conquest in her handsome new livery next to the still pristine Carnival Ecstasy. We would soon be back in our favorite veranda deck spot as the Ecstasy began the Cozumel cruise ship exodus. Unlike the others, however, she would never return. Here is her final salute to her fleet mate. And that marked Carnival Ecstasy's final day in Cozumel, a port that had welcomed her since 1991.
Yeah, that wasn't enough of a...
Another evening filled with attractions and distractions lay ahead.
4 days and this marriage is gonna last. Why me?
What a wonderful world.
Although it was still early, it was nice to see the neon bring the Stripes nightclub back to life, despite all of its decorative revisions. It was also a bit early in the Alchemy Bar, although the comedy in the punchliner was in full swing.
That was when she came to LA the first time.
I think I have her sailing out of LA with the fireboat salute. I know I have
Kathy Lee Gifford's
Paradise
champagne
Relation.
At one point, we stopped to admire the display case filled with Ecstasy port plaques and other memorabilia on the promenade deck. Little did we know it would all be auctioned off on the final sea day. Day 4 began for me with a delicious breakfast in the Blue Iguana Cantina. Then I had the pleasure of meeting Chief Engineer Orazio Daita, who gave me a brief tour of the spotless engine room. It was both sad and ironic to think that this beautifully maintained power plant that had served the Ecstasy so well would be what would drive the ship up onto the plot of her demolition. And yet again, the tireless crew were busy painting and scrubbing the immaculate ship when I went ashore briefly at Progresso to get some exterior footage. And yet again, I gathered with friends old and new as the Carnival Ecstasy made another final departure. But this time, she sounded a little choked up. But as fate would have it, as we made our way out into the Gulf, she would get another chance to say goodbye. And this would be her last pilot boat departure with passengers on board. Another memorable evening followed, the soundtrack of which I'll leave to the appropriately dulcet tones of the Crimson String Trio. As Carnival Ecstasy made her northbound course on her final in-service sea day, I began my routine with a cappuccino and was impressed with the long line of revelers on promenade deck who were queuing up for John Heald autographs and selfies in the Starlight Lounge. There's a reason why Carnival's brand ambassador is the most popular cruise director this side of the Love Boat's Julie McCoy.
Sorry, I can't talk very well because I don't have a coffee, but that's all right.
After breakfast in the Lido, we headed to the Blue Sapphire for the debark talk, the final captain's announcement, and the most entertaining auction since Cary Grant's crazed bidding frenzy in Alfred Hitchcock's North by Northwest.
Every cruise is special, every cruise is different, but this one has a really different meaning. It's something that we will keep in our memory and in our head forever. And you was part of this huge team that helped to make this cruise a really memorable one. So thank you very much.
Carnival Ecstasy first cruise was back on 1991, and since then she made over 2,300 cruises, comporting in Miami, Port Canaveral, Jacksonville, Galveston, Long Beach, New York Beach, Charleston, and Mobile. During over 30 years of service, 5.5 million guests safely sailed and enjoyed each single moment they have spent on board. This cruise on board, only to mention few, we have a beautiful couple who got engaged during the New Year's Safe cruise in 1991, and the Carnival Ecstasy, after she has traveled for over 3.5 million nautical miles, deserves some rest. Carnival Ecstasy will be never forgotten. The memories, the emotions, the adventure that crew and guests experienced while on board will remain with us forever. We are now sailing in the Gulf of Mexico at a distance of 161 nautical miles southeast from the Mississippi River outfall. Our present course is 0-11 degrees and we are traveling at a speed of 60 knots. From Progresso, we have already covered 316 nautical miles, and there are 231 nautical miles to reach Mobile, where we expect to be at pilot station tomorrow morning at 2:45. As I mentioned already, thanks to have made this cruise a very special cruise. Thank you all. Arrivederci.
Just before the auction began, cruise director Alex was kind enough to document the lineup of treasures.
How you all feeling? Good? Sad? A little bit? Yeah. It feels really strange because, you know, none of us have done this before. You, me, any of the crew. We've done it with 3 ships, but we haven't actually had a final cruise before. Why I'm doing this? Because I called the office a few months ago when I said I would be on this cruise, and I wanted to try and auction off some of the things that mean a lot to the ship and have meant a lot to the ship, because the ship has been sold to a Turkish company for scrap, and that includes pretty much everything inside the ship. And what will happen on the 8th of November when the ship is taken to its final place, run up to the beach, literally hundreds of people will come on board the ship and will be on a treasure hunt. They will rip things off the wall, they will take things out of the cabins, they will go into the engine room, to the bridge. It's their ship and they can do whatever they want. And I understand that, that's business, that's what happens in when you say goodbye to a ship. But it got me thinking that a lot of that stuff would either get just used for scrap wood, scrap metal, and wouldn't actually go to anybody who has any kind of connection at all with the ship, the guests, and the crew. So I wanted to grab some things which I hope will be worthy of your bids, and of course all the money goes towards a very, very worthy cause, my daughter's college, St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Here we have presented to the call, the very first call into Mobile, Alabama, which is Miami there, another beautiful key to the city. And also in this package here, we have this beautiful place, this is awesome, commemorating the first arrival of the port of Los Angeles, and that's with the lighthouse there. And you get these 3 things, and I think that's it for this particular one. I want to start this on at $20. Who's going to give me $20?
200.
200, more than 200. 200 going once. 500. 500 going once, 500 going twice. Sold to that lady, $500. I'm so sorry, sir. I apologize. The door handle off the front of the dining room, right there. We've got 500 over here from the captain. 500. Not joking. 400. He wasn't bidding really. He's the captain. He could just take it out, the captain. You'll give me 400. Thank you, ma'am. 400 going once, 400 twice. You're taking a door handle home. So, anybody know where the ship was built? Finland. Whenever it's given, the chief engineer is given a special set of gold-plated, we call them spanners, they're called wrenches where you're from, right? These are given specially to the chief engineer with the plaque in the box and the proclamation. Also, we're giving you, for somebody here, in this package here, this is the sign that's been in the crew area for 35 years. It's the 2 roads, I-95 and Via Tre, which is in Genoa. So that's been the signage for the crew for 35 years. This is the flag which was flying on the stern of the ship, the Carnival flag. Would you mind opening it? And it's the huge one that's been flying, and as you turn it over there, sorry, hold it up a bit, it's been signed by loads and loads of different crew members. Once, $2,000, $3,000 going once. Gentlemen, thank you, going twice at $3,000. Do I hear? 3,100 going once, going twice. Uncross those arms, sir, you have won stuff. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I ripped the sign away from where my cabin is located, and I got the captain and me to sign it, and a few others have signed it right there, hotel director, staff captain, Alex will sign it as well for you. This is the actual sign from Riviera Deck 4, so you can have this at home and say, I was here, even if you're not. And it's got all the cabin numbers. 50.
Going the wrong way. Fucking 1,000.
Sorry, hold on a second. If you didn't hear what he said, oh good grief, well never mind, let me bid 1,000. 1,000 going once. So I told $1,000 we had a lot of money to put in there. And this one says, this is Christopher Columbus and his exploration of the New World. There's this one here, which is beautiful. There's the second one of the Americas and Christopher Columbus ships there. And also this absolutely gorgeous solid brass, teak, very heavy, beautiful table. You've got it, hand you back. Which we have taken from the library, and this whole package here together there for you. It is beautiful. 2,600 going once, twice, bang, sold to you, $2,600. This is the champagne bottle, which Miss Kathy Lee Gifford smashed against the side of the ship to christen the vessel. It's to take it off the ship is unlucky, so if we run aground or anything happens, it's because I've given you this. 1,000 straight away from the gentleman over here. Thank you. Thank you. 1,500 for my jacket with all of this. Do I hear 1,600? My jacket is going in.
Suspenders.
If I take these off, the bid for what's underneath will be massive. No, it's one kind of 4,000 is the final bid. Do I hear more than 4? Going once, going twice with a huge round of applause. Sold for
Oof, that was quite an auction. After that, we enjoyed our last sea day at leisure. I even snuck in a turn at the Twister Slide before John Heald's 3 p.m. announcement and the blowing of the Ecstasy's whistle one final time, with guests still on board.
Good afternoon, and this is mixed emotion, isn't it? And for the definition of mixed emotion, for me that's watching my mother-in-law drive off a cliff in my brand new Ferrari. That's mixed emotion, but we've had fun, haven't we? We've had so much wonderful fun. This is the last time this wonderful ship is going to be carrying guests. A ship who for the last 35 years have carried 5.5 million people. And you can say the last guest she carried were you. So thank you. Thank you to all of you for choosing to be with us this 5 days. So turn your cameras towards the famous whale tail, because here in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 is the sound of fun.
After packing, there was time to take in one last sunset before the final fun farewell festivities began. It was hard to imagine that in a month's time, this would all begin to vanish. But hopefully many happy memories will live on.
So please, everyone, put your hands together for the master of the vessel, the one and only Captain Michele Coppola!
How was the cruise? That's the most rewarding thing. Thank you very much. You made this cruise a very special cruise. You really made this cruise a very special one. We will remember this cruise for all our life. Every cruise is special, but this one has something more. Thank you to all.
That's the way. All right. That's the way. That's the way. I love each and every one of you, but do me a favor, stop prying signs off the walls. We will rock you. Yeah, one more time. We will rock you. Y'all ready to rock? Sing it. We will rock you.
Even more than that Indian veggie entree, I'll miss the Windstar's charming hostesses during that final passenger dinner aboard Carnival Ecstasy.
Love you.
Takes 2 weeks.
I parted the curtains as Carnival Ecstasy entered Mobile at some ungodly hour. On my way up to the Blue Iguana, I encountered torn-off signage that for some reason wasn't tucked away in the perpetrator's luggage.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
With my friends Tom Nicolai and Jeffrey Lara, I walked the Carnival Ecstasy's pristine decks one last time before we disembarked to catch our early morning flights.
Bye, Ecstasy. Yeah, that'll be the thing the Turks want the most,
Fittingly, a halo framed my last shot of this extraordinary ship. Just hours after we left the Carnival Ecstasy in Mobile, she sailed off to Miami to disembark most of her crew and some fittings before deadheading to Turkey, where she was beached for demolition on November 8, 2022. This footage by Andy Hernandez captures her final Miami departure on October 20th, 2022. I'll save the parting words for hotel director Mladen Spasov.
When you see around the guests how much they will miss her, it gives you an idea that this ship has been loved from so many people back and from so many crew as well.
Well, if you made it this far, I really hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much, and please hit like and subscribe if you liked. Thank you.
Thank you.